Hi everyone. I am happy to welcome you to another edition of the Carol Azams Show. As you all know, I am the host and my name is Carol Azams. On the show today with me, I have a special guest. She is Senator Emer Currie, Fine Gael Senator representing Dublin West. Emma is the Shannon spokesperson for Employment Affairs, Work-Life Balance and Northern Ireland. So I have a few questions today for Emma. So, Ima, you're very welcome to the Carol Azam Show. I am going to just get on with the questions I have for you today. One of them being about the issues of homeschooling. And, since schools have been closed across the country due to the pandemic until recently, and parents have really tried their possible best, to help their children and try their best to carry on learning online. And for me, I've just been wondering, people who have not been used to helping their children to catch up with school work before. A lot of people have been so busy, even to sit down and do the homework has not been very easy. And then all of a sudden, it's like you're expected to become teacher. And I'm just wondering, for people who carry on working, and I know that you are a senator and you're not totally shut down. I just want to ask you, for you as a mom of small children yourself and being senator at the same time. So can you describe your experience being mom, senator, and acting teacher all at the same time?
Hi, Carol. So, yes, I've been doing the homeschooling thing with working full time as a senator, and politics isn't a 9 to 5 job at all. And it's not Monday to Friday. So, yes, it's been very challenging, but just like so many other families out there, they've definitely gained independence because they've had to amuse themselves while my husband and I have been working away in separate rooms. And so that I suppose that is one side benefit of it, is that maybe they are a bit more independent, but they've desperately missed their friends, and they've missed the interaction at school. So it's not just about the education. We did our best with the homeschooling, but we like, it really wasn't ideal. And I know that maybe um they've definitely suffered because of us not having the attention to give them. So yes, homeschooling is just incredibly difficult whenever you're working full time. So I can definitely empathize with everybody out there that went through the same thing. And it's just great to see so many kids now back at school. We're not there fully yet. There are more children to go back to school, but we are getting there.
So my second question, I'm just assuming that it really must be very tough running for any political office and time consuming too. So I'm sure you did your best, putting all the best effort into campaigning for a seat for the Shannon during the last election, but you didn't get it. But things changed when the new government came in. You were appointed to take up a seat in the Shannon. It must have been a mixture of emotions for you. Can you please describe how you felt at the time that you lost the election and when you got appointed by the new Taoiseach, Miho Martin?
Yeah, so I didn't win in the general election. I didn't win a seat, but that's okay. It's all about building for the future. It was my first general election, and it was a positive experience overall, even though the election result wasn't what I or the party wanted. But in terms of me and a commitment to electoral politics, it was a building and learning experience. And I ran in the local elections in 2019, and I was elected on the first count. And that was a very positive experience and a good result. And I thoroughly enjoyed being in the council. So, I mean, for me, it's all about building for the future, building a team, building a support base, connecting with people, getting my message out there. It's quite difficult to get your message out there when if people don't know who you are. And I feel like people are beginning to get to know the issues that I stand for. And they with the Shannon, no, I didn't win the Shannon, but I actually did very well for a first time candidate and for a new councillor that had only been in the door since May 2019. And then I was appointed by the Taoiseach. So I mean, being in the Shannon is just a fantastic place to be, getting to work on legislation, um, and um, and to raise local issues in a different way to that the TDs do, because it's obviously things operate differently, but it's a fantastic experience, and I feel like I'm getting work done for the community.
Please tell us, what are the responsibilities? What responsibilities do senators have, and what are the term limits?
So the term time is for as long as this government is in office, and then once again a Shannon election would come around after the next general election. So that hopefully that'll be a few years, and I basically I have commencement matters, which is I can raise issues with ministers, and I get to focus on local issues like schools or national issues, and I have a portfolio of work-life balance, employment affairs, and Northern Ireland. So you'll often hear me talking about the North, or local issues, transport, schools, childcare, and then national issues as they relate to mostly employment affairs, and work-life balance, remote work, flexible work, the juggle between working and the responsibilities of home. And yeah, so it's very varied. Last week there was legislation about parents' leave, and how we are extending parents' leave from 2 weeks paid leave to 5 weeks paid leave. This was a leave that was brought in 2 years ago by the government, and it reflects a commitment under the EU Work-Life Balance Directive, to ensure that there is more sharing of care between parents, and we've seen in COVID how stark that reality is. That women still do the majority of the home and childcare, even if they're working, and the impact that can have. So this legislation really is about trying to, I suppose, change that culture, but also to increase the time that a parent or parents get to spend with their children while they're young. So that legislation was last week, and I have been trying to get additional leave for lone parents. So that was my focus last week.
So I understand you led a motion that was passed in the Senate recently with regards to the National Remote Work Strategy. Can you talk us through the world scenarios and how you think it will benefit all workers in Ireland?
So yes, I've worked quite a lot on remote working, and the Taoiseach launched the National Remote Work Strategy there back in January, and the purpose is to set out a national strategy in relation to how we take what was good about COVID in relation to how work changed, and that it has shown that we can do things differently, and thrown out the rule book, and that post-COVID that we retain the positives of that and learn from the negatives of it. So the most people would say that they want to retain some access to remote, And so we're going to bring in a right to request legislation, where people can there is a statutory footing for people to request remote as part of their work. That'll be before us, hopefully in Q3. Also, there's a commitment to public sector workers that 20% of them will be able to work from home. There are changes around, or commitment to look at changes around the tax and the e-working tax relief as part of that. And there's obviously hubs and remote working infrastructure and the development of hubs, which is really important. For me, it's something that fits in with localism and ensuring that we have infrastructure in our towns and villages, including our suburbs like Blanchardstown, where people can work remotely. We don't have the room here in Dublin 15 to be building home offices, so remote working hubs are going to be important for us. And broadband obviously is infrastructure as well, and also around the promotion and skills that are needed for managers and for employees around remote work. All of that's very important. And for me, also the culture that if you listened to the motion, which maybe I think you did, you'll hear me talk about equal opportunities, and that we don't want remote to become something that only parents do or only women do, and ensuring that somebody that works from home 5 days a week gets the same opportunities as somebody who works from the office. And I have I have ideas around that. So yes, the National Remote Work Strategy is I suppose the beginning of change, and I very much will be pushing that.
I understand you've also suggested a co-working space on every main street in all of the villages, around Dublin 15. Can you please describe what type of problem that you hope to resolve, or how helpful you think this could be for the people that are living and doing business in Dublin 15?
Yeah, so the idea behind a remote working space in every village in Dublin 15 is that we do have villages in Dublin 15, like Ongar and Blanchardstown and Castleknock, and we will Huddart, and why wouldn't we encourage people to stay closer to home if that's what they want, but instead of working from their kitchens or cramped conditions, that they can work in a remote working hub. They also will spend more in the economy if they're out and about than if they're at home taking food from the fridge. So it just makes sense. There's been a major shift through COVID from single-use communities such as retail or office blocks to the flourishing of multi-use communities, where people can live and work and access services and have childcare, and that's something that localism is something I'm very much committed to.
So my next question really is about what happened recently in the area, and I am talking about the death of Georgie Cantu, the young black man that was reportedly shot and killed by the Gardaí. And the reason I am raising this question in this interview is because this has happened in your constituency, as we all know, and which is also my local. And I'm really not there at the moment, but like a lot of people, I was shocked, so to say, when I first heard about the news, and several questions came to my mind. Quite naturally, several questions came to my mind. Why another black man? Why another black boy? And why in Dublin West? After what happened in 2010, such dreadful incident, and honestly, I still wonder why it should happen at all. So, without going too deep into it, as I am well aware that there is an ongoing investigation by the appropriate departments. But my direct question to you is, what you think yourself, as a government representative in the area, what do you make of the whole incident? And what, in your opinion, will be your best idea for a peaceful coexistence between Irish people and those that are from new communities, so that we do not keep on experiencing these kinds of incidents every now and then? I mean, people are suffering so much already because of different issues about racism. I'm not actually going to talk about racism directly today.
Yes, Carol, it was absolutely tragic what happened. And I mean, it was tragic for everybody that was involved. It's tragic for the community. You could really feel it after, in the aftermath, and actually you can still feel it now. And I think the priority has to be always about building inclusive communities that are integrated and that are based on respect, and that are mixed communities and supportive communities. So I'm very conscious of the hurt that is felt, and just trying to, I suppose, support as much as possible in the most sensitive of ways. And always thinking of inclusion and integrated communities all the time. So I hope that answers your question.
Senator Emer Currie, this one is going to be my last question to you, and it's just a straightforward and simple one. What happened recently is terrible, and I just want to ask you, are there lessons that can be learned from this?
There are always lessons to be learned, I think. I think one of the biggest lessons is the reaction afterwards, and just how raw everything is for people, and how we have to work so hard, not just whenever something terrible happens, but all the time that you have to work that hard to make sure that people feel included, feel respected, feel that their rights are protected, and that they have the same opportunities as everybody else.
Thank you, Senator. We know that you're working hard representing the people of Dublin 15, and I really appreciate you coming on my show. It's been an honor and a privilege having you on the Carol Azams Show. Thank you. So viewers, this has brought us to the end of today's show with my guest, Senator Emer Currie, representing Dublin 15. The only reason why I tried to bring in the issue about the death of the young lad that was killed in Dublin 15, it is something that touched me very deeply. As you might very well know, I am a mom of 5 who are all Irish. And also the fact that this is happening in Dublin 15, which happens to be my local, it doesn't really matter if I'm there or not, because nothing changes the fact that Dublin 15 will always be my neighborhood, and one that I care very deeply about. Clonea, Harstown, Onga, Clonsilla, Hunstown, Mulhuda, Castleknock, including Tirolstown, where I actually resided for over a decade. So you can imagine, I didn't just live there. I raised my family there, I raised my children there, and also ran my business there too. In fact, my creche was established in Cordoff, and had parents bringing their children from all around Dublin 15. My staff also lived in the area in Harstown and Castleknock. So you can imagine that this has happened to another young black man before, and clearly not the first time, and from the same neighborhood. In fact, the first time it happened, it was right in my estate of Tirolstown, and that was just a few houses from mine, on the Belgrade Boulevard, just across the road there from mine. And the entire African community was thrown into mourning back then, as into mourning back then. As it happened recently, I think people should know by now that society has conditioned, people talking about race, people talking about racism, people talking about segregation. I mean, all these things are going on, and these are known facts. These are not hidden facts, and people don't just wake up and they make things like that up. So a lot of things need to change. We've seen a lot of changes going on, and we are experiencing a lot of changes, so to say, because the Irish society itself is changing, and like they say, sometimes change is slow. We are experiencing it, but it can actually go on that slow speed, but without all these complications. So people should please try and let other people live their life in peace. I am not here to judge anyone, but sorry, it is very shocking what happened. And the reason why a lot of people say, why is it that when something happens, the Africans, the black people are quick to play the race card? I must say that, unfortunately, the society has conditioned the minds of nearly every black person to feel it from that angle of racism because of how blacks are treated generally. And on hearing something like that, happening in the first instance, your mind goes wild, and the people are bound to feel that way. Unfortunately, call it paranoia if you like, or whatever. But the feeling, I must tell you, it is that of fear, especially for mothers, for parents, and then you start carrying that fear because of what has happened before. You wake up in the morning and you're wondering, what is going on? I hope I don't fall victim. I hope my own children don't fall victim. So we are living in fear, and that is the truth. We try to be brave, but then you don't blame us. At the end of the day, we've come from somewhere to a place where we are trying to adapt. It's like we are almost asking to be allowed to live in peace, And the Irish people have tried their best. They are still trying their best to assimilate the foreigners that live in Ireland. And there's been a great success so far. Ireland has come a long way, and that is the truth. Why can't we just keep going that way and allow people to live their life without, any of this strife going on? And we have so much to deal with already. And at this point, people are tired of living in fear, and that is the truth. So I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to judge anyone, but whether it is true or not, if Nkencho's death or killing has anything to do with race, I wouldn't know, and I'm sure you don't know either. But at the end of the day, a young man has lost his life. The parents are still grieving the loss of their son during this such a difficult time, and we all know that people are asking questions, and the family of the deceased definitely and certainly want justice for the death of their son. So that is all from me this week, and I want to thank you for watching the Carol Azams Show, and until I come your way again next time, please stay fine, stay out of trouble, do not cause trouble for other people, and let's try and live in peace. Okay, so look after yourself, and bye for now.